Hello, I'm Durga Mata and I'm at the wonderful World of Wellbeing Festival and I'm an exhibitor, and I've just done the first of my workshops, which was on mindfulness and creativity. So I made the chairs in a circle and everybody had a clipboard and a piece of paper and a pencil, and in the center of the circle there was a plant, a house plant, and it was in flower. It's leaning over slightly, it's off my windowsill, and it always wants to see the sun, so it leans one way or another way. So it was quite an interesting subject to draw, not an easy one. Like mindfulness is metacognition, it's being aware of who you are, being self-conscious, being self-aware. And it means being aware of where you are, what you're doing, what you're thinking, and what you're feeling. And every time your mind slips off onto something else, you bring it back. You can bring it back to your breath, or you can bring it back to an activity. And it might be just as simple as listening or looking around and seeing what you can see. But for us today, we were focusing on the flower on the table in front of us and drawing it on a piece of paper with a clipboard. And the first 2 minutes were just to look and observe and see what the subject was. And then the next 2 minutes were start with your pencil to map out the composition. And then after 2 minutes at that, you stand up, put your drawing on the chair and step along to the next chair and pick up that clipboard. And you get 3 2-minuteses, which is just for composition using a pencil. And then you come over and you pick up a colour which is blue or green. And you take the blue or green and you have 2 minutes to work on it. You work on the picture that you've just picked up from the chair where you've moved, and you add whatever colour you've picked up, the blue or the green, you don't have both, and you work on that for 2 minutes. And then you put the clipboard down on the chair again, so that it's always facing the same way. You're looking at the flower from different perspectives, but the clipboard is always on the same chair, so you're looking at the same perspective for each one. And then when you move along, you pick up the clipboard on that chair and you use your blue or green colour and have another 2 minutes on that. And then when you finish that, you put it down on the chair, you bring the blue or green pen or crayon, whatever you're using, put it into the tray and take a yellow or red or orange. And you go back to the seat, pick up your clipboard, and for 2 minutes you work with whatever you've got, the yellow, the red or the orange. And when you finish that 2 minutes, you put it down on the chair and move along again. And you do a second drawing using yellow, orange or red. And then you put that down, and then you come over, bring your yellow, orange or red and put it in the tray and pick up a dark colour. And it should be ideally grey or black, a neutral dark tone. But on this occasion there were some people had to use dark blue as well because we didn't have enough of the black and grey. Or brown. Brown also comes in on the dark colours. And then you get one turn of doing the dark colours and putting in the dark tones, 2 minutes on that, and then you stop. And you just sit for 2 minutes and think about the exercise and notice, if you can, whether your mind during that time of drawing went anywhere into negative thought or past or future or worry. And I think most people will find that they were really focused on the activity, on the creativity, and on studying the flower in front of them and on looking at what they were doing. And their mind was in the moment, it was here and now, it wasn't wandering about. So it's a very, very excellent mindfulness activity, mindfulness, being here and now in the moment with an attitude which is creative and curious and amused and compassionate and full of self-love. There's no criticism or judgment in mindfulness. And then after 2 minutes of reflecting, we did some sharing, and some of the shares I think somebody recorded. I might be able to get hold of them. They may not be very good sound because there was a lot of background noise from the festival outside the barrier, There's just a partition between us and the rest of the festival, so it's quite noisy. But it was a lot of fun. We got some very nice feedback. And that was my first mindfulness and creativity workshop. And it was fun, and everybody enjoyed themselves. One of the bits of feedback that I found particularly interesting was that it was fun because you weren't judging your work, you were adding to someone else's work. So there was no sort of competition. And also, because you were adding to other people's work, there was a sense of progress and a sense of expansion, because you might be adding a flower that they'd missed out, or putting some leaves in which weren't there, or just generally adding some pattern or some background. And so always it was part of a flow of progress. It wasn't a static thing. And because it was collaborative, there was no sense of, oh, I'm no good or I'm clever. And a really strong sense of we're a team here, we're a tribe, we've got a sense of oneness, we're working on this together. And I stressed at the end that as well as mindfulness, I'm very passionate about the reality of oneness. We're all part of each other, and we're part of this amazing world. And every single one of the pictures was strikingly different, and yet they were all representations of the same one flower. And in a similar way, you can think this planet of ours, this world of ours, the creator, whatever you think of, it's one, but it's totally diverse. And the way that we are, we're all unique, we're all individuals. We see it in different ways, we make sense of it in different ways. And if we find someone who we disagree with, instead of arguing or thinking they're wrong, we can just celebrate, because the beauty is in the diversity. And that was the second important message from my workshop. Celebrate the diversity. Appreciate, don't criticize or fear diversity.